Yes.
We begin with breaking news here at 5 o'clock. A police pursuit is underway in Sherman Oaks.
And as you can see, the suspect is weaving through traffic on a motorcycle. Let's go up to Stu Mundell in Sky 2. He can tell us about how this thing started
Well, the
and what's been going
traffic
on.
is making it difficult. Oh, sorry about that. The traffic is making it difficult for the officers to keep up with this guy. And it also, as you said, being a motorcycle, also making it difficult. Now, LAPD started this pursuit. That was the Topanga Division, started this pursuit about 20 minutes ago in the Topanga Canyon area on Victory. Originally wanted just for reckless driving. Now, officers from LAPD quickly got ahead, got their airship overhead, and because of it being a motorcycle, they've been in a tracking mode, and then they went back to a pursuit mode, but they basically have been keeping an eye on this guy. They do want to stop him, and they want to talk to him. Him being on a motorcycle making it very, very difficult for LAPD to find any kind of way to bring this to a forceful end, like as in a pit maneuver or spike strips or anything like that. Basically, the only weapon they have right now is that airship, and they're using that in their fullest here, keeping an eye on this guy, calling out locations. Now, since he's been on the 101 freeway pretty much since the Calabasas area, now we are over in the studio, just entering the Studio City area right now. Basically, they've been calling it out, but they've basically asked the CHP to take over this pursuit. We've saw a couple of CHP units on the freeway, but again, in this heavy traffic, the only other officers that could possibly really keep up with him would be other motorcycle officers, and we have yet to see those in this pursuit. Again, though, right now, I can tell you that we're approaching Woodman, and we're on the 101. Again, the original want for this guy, just reckless driving, and now it's going to be felony evading as well. The airship doing most of the work right now, calling out the locations and letting the officers on the ground know, even if the CHP does become the primary, they're going to start using the LAPD airship to keep eyes on this individual to make sure that they know exactly where he is and where he gets off. Of course, if he does get off the freeway, LAPD will be notified immediately, and again, it's unclear if they will use the pursuit tactics that we are more commonly see, where they're right behind him, making that presence known, or they're just going to watch him. But right now, still eluding officers, and the original want was just for reckless driving.
I don't know if you can comment on this, but we have to make mention of it. I mean, it looks like he's wearing a cape or an overcoat of some kind. Not that that has any kind of significance, but it is kind of different on a motorcycle.
Well, you know, we saw that it looks like a leather trench coat, and he was digging in the pockets earlier on. It was unclear what he was looking for. I thought maybe he was looking for a cell phone or something along those lines. And again, these are the things that officers are watching from the helicopter as well, and also commenting on. We don't know why he's being so elusive, why he doesn't want to talk to officers, and that always puts LAPD or any police agency in an odd spot when they're in a pursuit. They don't know what this guy really has in mind. You know, he might be armed, he might not be armed, he might have some, maybe he's under drugs. There we go, there's the CHP, and there you can see, as soon as this guy sees those officers, he's really starting to open up that speed, weaving in and out of traffic. Again, that was the CHP officer, and they are working in unison right now. CHP in the lead agency, they basically handed it over. You can see we're approaching the 134, and it looks like if he stays on this side of the freeway, he's going to be taking the 134. Again, though, Laurel Canyon going to be the next major that he's crossing, and traffic is pretty, I would call it more than medium. It's kind of packed down there. The bike obviously having an easier time getting through this, but again, a lot of traffic. Somebody could make one of these turns, very quickly change lanes, and this could come to an abrupt end, injuring that suspect.
Boy, there's no doubt about that. This again taking place on the 101 in Studio City. Stu, let me ask you this question. It's clearly advantage motorcycle in this kind of traffic. The airship obviously neutralizes that slightly, but what would be the strategy?
Well, look at that. I don't know about advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, we watch these things, and it is very dangerous. And you know, we kind of try to put it into those kind of ideas or that perspective of, you know, advantage, disadvantage, good guy, bad guy type of scenarios. And you know, it's very, very dangerous. It's actually dangerous for the civilians on the road as well. You saw that weaving it right between those cars right there, threading the needle. And again, you know, people trying to get out of the way. It's packed. You're driving on the freeway. You're kind of grumpy about the, you know, your day. day now traffic, and then all of a sudden you got blinking lights, you swerve, who knows what's going to happen. It looks like we're staying on the 101 as we're starting to work our way out of the Studio City area into the Universal Studios area. Again, yet officer in that SUV really kind of making his presence known now that the traffic has lightened up a little bit. That might be one of those newer Ford Explorer specially equipped vehicles that the CHP just purchased. Again, though, you can see him basically tracking, keeping right up with this guy. And again, really kind of makes you wonder, that officer limited what he can do when he gets up next to him, but definitely making his presence known. And hopefully that command presence will register with this guy, and he'll basically just say, all right, I'm just going to pull over.
Well, you know, he really has command of the motorcycle. I think we can certainly say that he apparently has driven one before. I asked the question again about the overcoat because you wonder if this was his bike or if this was possibly a stolen bike.
Well, again, you know, those are the questions that that officers are pondering as well. You know, they can run the plate, they can get an idea who that person is, but obviously you're not going to be able to make an identifying match of that person with the helmet and, as you say, that overcoat and etc. It almost does looks like some sort of superhero there with that leather coat flapping in the wind. But again, if this is a superhero, he's going to be a super villain, because these officers definitely want this guy to stop. He's been disobeying all the traffic laws pretty much for most of the afternoon here, and again, really starting to speed up. We're doing a lot of swerving around out here, and you know, again, the faster this happens, the higher the odds that this is going to end poorly.
And Stu, I'm sitting here saying to myself, why isn't traffic like this when I'm on the road? It appears to be light to moderate. What do you see up ahead?
Actually, I'm just glancing up ahead as we're working our way through the pass out here, and it is just as you said. It's like pursuit traffic. It is moderate at best. If this was the afternoon that we were driving home, we'd be stopped bumper to bumper. This guy basically just working his way through this traffic. It is very, very light as we're working our way southbound on the 101 now, approaching probably the Highland Boulevard. Again, this guy really just booking along here, and officers from the CHP now falling back just a little bit, but you can see that one guy with that newer Explorer really kind of closing that gap and making his presence known to this guy.
And you know what? Pretty soon he's going to have a number of opportunities in terms of freeways. Stu, he's going to be approaching, well, the 110 freeway for sure. 5, he could be headed toward Pasadena if that's the case. So I'm sure they're pretty concerned about that, but I'm sure contemplating at the same time the different moves that he can make.
Well, you know, definitely. And you know, when traffic starts getting really, really thick out there, you know, a motorcycle always has a little bit of an advantage. But, you know, we've seen it where it is so bumper to bumper that even bikes get stalled out. Again, you kind of wonder if he's just going to stay here on the freeway. It almost seems like he's playing around with these guys. You know, he knows that they can't pit him. He knows that they can't bump him. So he's just going to just keep driving, staying just that one step ahead of him. Again, using just the freeway. He has not gotten off onto roads. It started on roads, and then it also kind of makes me think maybe he's got a destination. Maybe this is, you know, he is going someplace other than just eluding officers. We're staying here on the 101. He is kind of close to those lanes where you could jump off at any moment, and that really would be a disadvantage for that cruiser right there. But that cruiser basically just keeping pace with him. You've got to wonder, maybe he's using the loudspeaker down there and saying, hey buddy, just pull over, just give this up, you know, stop now. Or if they're just sitting there with their sirens going and looking ahead, I'm almost shocked to say that it looks like the 101 wide open. I'm wondering if possibly they did some kind of break, because it is wide open down there. There are no other cars on the freeway.
And Stu, they'll, thought maybe he was moving over to the right lane. They will be at a real disadvantage if he jumps off that freeway. And then, of course, it depends on how quickly they can get units into that area if he does take an exit.
Well, that's for sure, and that's what the LAPD was dealing with when originally this started. You know, that first unit got up behind him pretty quickly, and as soon as those lights and sirens came on, this guy got on opposite traffic and took off. So he definitely wanted to leave. He had no intention of stopping from the get-go, and the original want was just reckless driving. So again, it makes you kind of wonder, if it was just reckless driving, this guy would have turned on his lights, he probably would have got a ticket. Makes you wonder why he just doesn't stop. And again, maybe this person is a wanted felon. Maybe he has some something that he shouldn't have on his person. So these are all the questions that officers have to deal with as well. Even if he does stop, I can assure you they will not just run up to him and take him into custody. They're going to make sure that he complies 100%.
You know, it makes me think about being on a freeway, and as we've been saying, this is unbelievable that the 101 is this open at this time of day, that's for sure. But again, it's very disconcerting to motorists who are in vehicles and they have someone on a motorcycle that's going so fast and so quickly that just comes up upon them that they can't necessarily react, and sometimes when they do, it could also be danger for the person on the motorcycle. So this is this is something I'm just thinking about watching this right now, because I've been in that situation where it's a little frightening.
Oh, you know, definitely. And that's the thing, too, is, you know, a lot of people, they get paranoid when a motorcycle gets near their vehicle, just like a big rig. It's almost the same thing, except, you know, with a motorcycle, you might be a little bit more concerned about the rider than you are with you. But yes, you're right. A lot of people, I hear that quite commonly. You're driving on the freeway, you got a bike right behind you, and then you don't know what you can do. I mean, if you pull over, he could be contemplating going the other direction. It is very scary. And then this guy, you got to add in, he's got lights and sirens. And again, I have to let you know, right now, as we're approaching Vermont, the freeway is basically getting stopped. Now we're really starting to see that traffic that we are so common to seeing out here in the Los Angeles area, and now it is really starting to back up out here, and the officers had that little bit of advantage there. They're going to lose that now as we're starting to get into some heavy traffic.
Well, yes, you know, as Pat pointed out, when they're lane splitting and firing along like that, I don't care how many times it happens to you, it's always startling as a driver of a vehicle, of a car. It's really very startling. And this guy, he's got no qualms about shooting between these vehicles.
You know, we were
that's
reporting.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about
go ahead,
yesterday how we were reporting on that incident that actually happened in New York and involved a club, but there was just one person on a motorcycle who stopped, and an SUV bumped that motorcyclist, and you know, we know what happened after that. They chased the guy that was driving the SUV and pulled him out of the vehicle. But just how quickly something like this can happen from an abrupt stop by a vehicle trying to avoid hitting the person on the bicycle, it can cause so many different problems or scenarios.
Most definitely, and you know, and that's the thing too, that, you know, being a motorcycle, this motorcycle rider obviously knows these things, has these in his mind, and you know, again, seems to be pretty well versed on riding. He's basically just weaving in and out here. He has pulled some pretty close calls. There's another one that might look a little closer than it really was, but again, he is just cutting in between these cars like there's nothing to it, just keeping up this basically 80-mile-an-hour speed, 50, 60, even, you know, 20 miles an hour faster than whatever the traffic is going is basically what we're seeing out here. And officers from the CHP, you know, they got their lights and sirens. They were falling behind there for a little bit. They got caught up in traffic and now basically back into some sort of tracking mode. And again, you know, they're calling it out. I hear them on another radio. And officers from LAPD not involved in the pursuit, but definitely know that this is going on. So if this guy gets off the freeway, the LAPD will definitely be engaging it very, very quickly. I can tell you right now, we're basically coming up on Glendale. There's Union Avenue, there's a sign, but Glendale is coming up, the 2 freeway, but it really seems to me that he's been staying on these majors and basically just following it. I'm kind of curious to see 110, 101, what's his choice is going to be. 101 looks a little bit more packed, but not much better than the 101.
Boy, every time he gets into traffic like this, his pattern has been to tone it down a bit without seeing the black and white behind him.
Well, you know, that's right, and this is part of the process that LAPD has been trained to do, and other agencies. They basically, that's what the way they say we should go into tracking mode. They feel that the presence of the black and white off and the lights and sirens excites the suspect and makes, you know, he starts acting crazier, and they do this, they fall back and they just watch. But with this guy, even if they're just watching, you know, we don't know where he's going to go. And just allowing him to run freely like this, that might not be the best deal either. So they're kind of playing that middle card, just kind of keeping an eye on him. They have officers nearby. He hasn't really done anything so crazy where they're going to say, you know, the public is, you know, there's a public safety issue. I can tell you right now, definitely established on the 101. We're going to be working our way through the north side of downtown Los Angeles, and looking ahead, it's pretty much more of the same. Just a little bit of traffic out there, but this guy just basically on a little ride out here as LAPD and anybody watching the news is joining him this afternoon.
You know, Stu, we joined you at Woodland Hills, and can you tell us again where this originated, where they started following this motorcycle?
We originally heard this in the Topanga Canyon area on Victory Boulevard. Again, reckless driving was the original one on it. The officers doing what they're trained to do got behind him. They asked for what they call a backup and an air unit. That was the helicopter. Pretty much as soon as that helicopter got there and that first unit turned on his lights and sirens, this guy just took off. And the first thing apparently he did, or that we heard that he did, was go into opposing lanes of traffic to get away from that officer. So that was an extreme move for basically just, hey, we just want to pull you over. And again, this is why LAPD and other agencies are so interested in stopping this guy and talking to him. Those kind of reactions, you know, why didn't he just pull over? That's basically the big question. It really seems like we're just staying on the 101 freeway up. Now, as I said it, he's really starting to cut around because he does have a choice over here of the 10 freeway, but he's just weaving in and out of traffic. Again, I don't think there are many, if any, units, black and white units behind him anymore as he's working his way. I just want to make sure we don't lose him here. And as we're starting to work, it looks like we're going to be going south here, so that's going to be 5 freeway. That gives him the 60 and also, yeah, the 60 freeway if we keep in this direction.
He's starting to pick it up right now. He's got to know, though, I mean, a pursuit in Los Angeles, he's got to know that helicopter's overhead, keeping an eye on him, even though he doesn't see any black and whites, too.
Well, that's right. And, you know, and that's the thing. You'd think that with that knowledge, you'd just say, hey, you know what, I better just, you know, pull over. Or you know what, maybe he's doing, I just want to enjoy my last couple of minutes. But this doesn't look very enjoyable. This looks like he's really trying to get away. And, again, you never away. He is speeding up now quite a bit, like you said, really starting to move out. And, again, we're coming up on the East LA interchange, so he's going to have several choices of where he can go as we work our way down here. Again, though, looking ahead, it is just, well, the 60 really looks like it's backed up pretty bad. But again, you know, he's just going to weave his way in and out here and just keep everybody at bay.
Well, you know, we have legal analyst Steve Meister on the set with us. We were prepared to talk about the Jackson verdict, which we will certainly in due time. But he was saying he probably felt that he could get away at first, and now he's just so too deep in, so he's just going to continue. He really has no other choice but to just keep riding.
You know, as Steve, he's mic'd up, as a criminal defense lawyer, have you ever defended somebody in one of these?
Yeah, I have.
And hold on one second. We got to hook your mic up here.
I think that's where he was saying he knows what's going on because he's had clients that have done the exact same thing. We're going to try to get your mic working.
It is one of those deals. Steve had written us a note saying he took off because he thought he could get away with it, basically. I suppose they all think that at some point, however.
Well, again, you know, maybe he's just going until he decides to stop, as happens in so many different cases where he'll just decide to give up because he can't. Here. All right, and maybe he's going to familiar territory.
Yeah, you know, or maybe he's just using one of those in and off the freeway type of deals. No, it does look like we are going to be getting off the freeway here. I'd like to get a street name if I could, but again, CHP and LAPD have been working on this, and basically changing the guards was just going on when he made this move. We're definitely on streets out here, East LA area, and this, I'm sorry, this is going to be, we're in the Hollenbeck. Look at this.
Look at these pedestrians.
Just changing his mind. I don't know what the deal was there. Just basically made a U-turn right there. Maybe he really thinks that he can elude them. Looks like he's going into a walkway.
And is he going to try a foot bail?
Yeah. And, you know, this kind of gives you an idea that this guy really knows the neighborhood. That was a little walkway that took you onto a side street out here. Again, this kind of movement lets you know that this guy probably knows the area or got very lucky right there. Again, we're in the Hollenbeck area, so we're probably Boyle Heights is going to be the area. He got off the 60 freeway and basically started on some side streets, and then just said, you know what, I'm just gonna make this U-turn and work our way over here. Again, though, I'll get you a street here in just a second, but no officers behind him right now at all as we're approaching a major out here. And again, you know, he might be thinking right now he got it made, running a red light, not very wise. I can tell you just because I read the street sign, that was Indiana that we just crossed. But again, in a residential area out here and still eluding LAPD and other officers.
He's got it. Yeah,
there he goes.
There he goes, right here.
Yep. Looks like he's basically running into his house. You can see somebody else over there basically grabbing the bike for the guy. Basically just went into the home. I want to keep an eye on this guy with the motorcycle as he kind of puts it away. You know, again though, dropped the bike, ran underneath these trees into that home. Again, officers from LAPD, CHP, not quite here yet.
Well, you know what's interesting is apparently not, because most of the people, if you noticed how slowly they were walking, those pedestrians trying to walk across the street, I mean, they couldn't see. Now, what is this about?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I have no idea if these people know this guy or are related to him. Yeah, basically, this guy just came and grabbed the helmet and is walking off. And,
but you know what,
you know, they're
Stu,
basically doing.
Don't want to interrupt you, but Steve, that might be him. Didn't he have on a black and white checkered shirt and some white gym shoes? He looks like he took off the coat, Stu.
You know, I think this is the other guy. I think this is the guy that basically put the motorcycle away after he dropped it.
Now, there was a gentleman walking out with a young person. The young person was holding something to his face, and this guy had a black and white checked shirt on and some white gym shoes, and it looked like it could have been the guy on the bike. He just took off the overcoat.
All right. You know, yeah, it could be. It could definitely be. You know,
that's your reward, Stu, for helping move the motorcycle into the garage.
That's the helper.
Yeah, that's the helper right there. That other guy basically just walked off. You know, I'm getting some direction.
Go ahead, and look around for him. That may have been the guy.
With the young person.
Exactly, who did have something up to their face.
Yes.
That's him, isn't it?
Looks like it. Black and white shirt, white shoes.
Yeah. Dark pants.
Hang on just 1 second here. I'm having a little difficulty holding this shot because we were set up for the other thing, but we'll definitely try to keep an eye on this guy right here. Again, hang on just 1 second. All right.
Yeah, that's no problem. We can still see him. You're keeping him in. You're doing a good job.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to be going behind a building here. It looks like we're working our way out towards a mall. Going to keep an eye on him, like you said. This could very well be him. Just walking along here, nothing to see here. I had nothing to do with that, is probably what he's saying to himself, but we might know different out here. I'm wondering if somebody is going to be able to notify the LAPD CHP about this as we're working our way. I don't want to lose him behind this tree. I'm working with my pilot. Again, there he is. That's him, right? Yep.
Yeah,
that's him.
And it is, you know, maybe he's just out for his afternoon walk, but very unusual behavior as this thing came to an end and he just happened to be walking away. So we're going to keep an eye on this guy out here, and as soon as we are able to give you a cross street, which we might be able to do here very shortly, we will. But definitely, you kind of have to wonder, that younger woman just kind of disappeared. This guy is here all by himself, just walking along now.
Well, even if we, as we will shortly, play back the video of him walking back out of that home or wherever he was, there was this person here with a young person.
Whittier and DeLamo.
With something up to their face.
Lama and Whittier.
And it certainly looks like.
I'm just working with my pilot, who's actually talking
with the shirt
to
on. If anybody else, if they can hear us, Paul and Steve, with the black and white gingham shirt, the white gym shoes. It's interesting that person emerged from that home, right, with this check shirt on and these white shoes.
I thought he was going to surrender.
Yep.
I thought
And he's walking on Whittier. Walking on Whittier, and he passed a llama right
Stu,
there. And looks like he's going to start walking down, kind of staying off the major now. So.
And Stu, what were you saying about working with the pilot to
Whittier? Yeah, I actually was working with Dan, my pilot, this afternoon, and he's passing along this information to other helicopters, officers out here to give them the location. Looks like he's he's not walking into the auto zone, but he's on Whittier. Definitely walked into the auto zone on Whittier. That's basically where he went to. Just walked into there. I'll get you that cross street right here in a second, but definitely we're at the corner of Whittier and Indiana. There's a officer right there. Whittier and Indiana walked into the. There we go. They're working their way over there right now. So. Well, Pat and Ball, we're going to find out very shortly if this guy was involved in this pursuit.
Yeah.
If this was, it was a very clever play and an excellent try. I got to give you that. This probably is one of the endings that has given me more thought, than just dumping and running. We're going to keep an eye on the back of the store as well. Maybe do an orbit here. To keep an eye on the front and the rear, but you can see officers swarming this auto zone right now as they're looking for that suspect.
He must watch a lot of crime procedurals. Maybe he figured that one out, because that was what do you call that, Steve? Is that a bait and switch? I don't know, but he apparently took off that overcoat very quickly and walked out with someone else. It almost, to me, looked like he was trying to appear that he was giving aid to that young person, but was able to walk away. But now he's surrounded. They seem to be have him in custody.
Yeah. Leave it to CBS 2 legal
Definitely.
analyst Steve Meister, to astute person and a critical observer of people, to figure out that was him walking away. Steve, thank you very much.
Don't tell him my name.
Well, he might ask you to represent him anyway.
That you can know my name for. Then you can know my name. It's not where I live.
Well, Hollenbeck LAPD definitely talking to this gentleman right now. They're going to take him into custody and definitely have some questions for him, that's for sure. But it's most bizarre ending to a pursuit that I've seen in a long time, that's for sure.